Hello everyone, you're welcome to African Spiritual Connections TV. My name is PaulVin. Today we are coming to have a bit of history lesson. I think this lesson is very much needed. It is very much needed. But before I go on with it, I would plead with you all to help me share this video. I think my channel is beginning to do well, and I thank all of you for playing your part. All right, I've been doing my best to give you the best of lessons and to give you the best of spiritual insights. Right now, the rest lies on you to also help me and make my channel fly around, so that people will know what Africa is about and what African spirituality stands for, and some of the things that we have left behind that makes no sense, and it's only left for us to go back for it. Now, what is the purpose of today's lesson? Akan's history of human sacrifice. Now, many people who are into Christianity believe that it's only Jesus Christ who has given himself up to save humanity. So when some of us hear it, those of us who know about what our ancestors have done for us, when we hear it, it's a funny thing. It's something very, very funny. So we can't stand it, and we cannot shut up. We cannot keep quiet for people to peddle such lies, because our ancestors have laid down their lives several times for this, and we haven't really appreciated them enough for us to go out of our own selves and to go and appreciate foreigners for their so-called sacrifice. It's as if the black man has no ancestor who sacrificed himself, that we go about singing glory, singing songs of hope and victory to the energies of others, to foreign ancestors that we have never known, to ancestors that never connect to us. So the lesson today is supposed to make us all know who we are and where we are coming from, and to be grateful for what our ancestors have done for us. So before I start the lesson, let's go about and share. I'm going to do my part as I always do. Please don't join me without sharing. All right, let's all do our parts. So I'm going to share now. Kindly help me share too. If you're on Facebook, please help me share. If you're on Facebook, kindly help me share. Let's share so that we start the lesson. Let's share, please. Let's all share so that we can start the lesson right away. Let's all share so that we can start the lesson right away. In case you are having issues with the sound, kindly alert me. Kindly alert me if you are having any issue with the sound. Kindly alert me if you are having any issue with the sound, so that I correct it. Please help me share. Yeah, Mansa. Sam Joy says Mansa is here. Mansa, you are welcome. Mansa, you are welcome. Let's share, please. Let's share. Let's all share together so that I can start the live right away. Invite people to join. we are coming to learn about the history of Akans in human sacrifice. And my purpose is not to disgrace the Akan culture, but to make Akans and Africans proud of their ancestors, as the risky sacrifices the ancestors made for them still paints our appreciation. Still paints our appreciation. We haven't appreciated our ancestors enough, as much as we have appreciated people's iconic deities. The iconic deities that people brought to us, we have appreciated them so much that we neglect our own ancestors. We neglect our own ancestors. So the African ancestor has also done some. They have also done something that requires our appreciation. So let's appreciate foreigners less and appreciate our own ancestors more. All right. So I think I'm done sharing a few. All right. So kindly help me share. So I'll go straight into the lesson right away. History of human sacrifice among the Akans. As I told you, my purpose is to make you appreciate your ancestors more and know that it is not only the foreign iconic Jesus that has done something great. If he existed, he's not the only one that did something great, right? Our own ancestors also laid down their lives for us, and the onus lies on us to be able to appreciate them more and say, thumbs up, my ancestors, you did great. It is now my turn to continue. All right. Now, among the Akans in the 17th century, when we say 17th century, we mean between 1600 to 1699. During that time when Okonfo-Addo lived, all right, there was a war between the Akans and the Denchwa people. The Akans were actually being subdued, controlled, and enslaved by the Denchwa people. This history, I'm not going to say it out of my mouth. I'm going to read it to you, and I'll put it on the screen for you to read yourself too, so that in the end, you will not sit somewhere and say, I'm putting dust in people's eyes. It's a documented history. That's why people believe in, right? That's why you believe in the Bible so much, because it's documented. All right? But don't forget that we black people carry our history and our story with oral tradition. We tell our children for our children to tell their children, for their children to tell their children, and it goes on like that and like that, like that, and like it continues like that. You understand? So we are into oral tradition, and we respect that more, because with history, anybody somewhere can sit in one corner and twist it, and generation after 100 years will not notice the mistake, and they will just carry it like that. But when it is orally passed on, right? You passed it on to your child, I passed it on to mine. So when your child says something different from what the majority knows, then we know that yours is wrong. All right? But today we want to verify everything with book. Well, that's also not bad. That's also not bad. So there's a history among Akans that surrounds some 3 brave kings of Akans. Let me not use king, because the king is the only paramount, the paramountcy throne of the Asante. So the other Akan kings here, the Ochehin is a king, and the Mfante people also have their kings. So I'm talking about the Asantes and the Denchwa people. Right? Some 3 major chiefs laid down their lives, and we will learn about the story behind this. Right? But before that, let me tell you about something that used to happen in the time past, and it still goes on today, but we don't really bring it in the public domain. All right? Among Akan chieftaincy, or among Akan kingdomship, there is a group of people that are red, excuse my word, red, trained, and made to live for the king. The name of such people is called the Akrafo. Akrafo, brought in English, means souls. Souls, the souls. Why are they called souls? Because it is believed that they are souls of the king. So if I am the king, there are some people in my kingdom whose life is mine, or whose life are mine. They live for me and they die for me. Just like Christians say, if I live for Christ. If I die for Christ. this thing existed among Akans, and it exists still today. Those people are called the Akrafo. Who are the Akrafo? The Akrafo are people who are taken care of by a kingdom for the sake of their kin. Now, what do these people do, or what do they stand for that the state will take care of them? When a king is alive, this king does not only rule a kingdom of humans, the king also rules a kingdom of human souls in the ancestral world. So, when a king dies, the king goes to the ancestral world and go and sit on the ancestral throne and rule in the ancestral kingdom where the subjects of the king come from. And when the king comes here on earth, the king also rules on earth on the ancestral throne that his ancestors left on earth. So being a king, you are not made a king, you are born a king. That's why African tradition believes that, not even believe that, know that leaders are born, leaders are not made. If you are born to be a leader, you are born to be a leader. If you want to be made a leader, then you are meant to lead some people, not a state. Great minds for great people. Nana Kojo is here. Nana Kojo, you are welcome. Kwabena Adade, keep the good works up, bro. Thank you, thank you. And Sam George Manson is here. You are all welcome. Right. So the Akrafo are people who live for the king and they die for the king. What do I mean by this? These people follow the king everywhere he goes. The state is supposed to ensure that these people do not die before the king dies. So the state is supposed to nourish this Akrafo, the souls of the king. What are they being nourished for? The moment the king dies, all these people must be sacrificed so that their souls will accompany the king, the soul of the king, to the ancestral world. Because there is a river to be crossed from this world to the ancestral world. So when the king is going, the king can be attacked on the way by other deities and other spirits who are at war with the kingdom. Therefore, these souls, known as Akrafo, are supposed to make sure that the king lands on the ancestral land protected. Right? Nana Afia Brib, is it Nana Afia Briba Kofi? Kwansama, you never visited me. Oh, bro, forgive me. I'll visit you. I'm promising you live. I'll visit you. All right. Take note of this and just hit me up in my DM on WhatsApp. Let's arrange. Please, I'll visit you. I've been following you too. You've been doing a good work. I'm sorry for the interruption. So these Akrafo are supposed to make sure that they lead and guide and guard the soul of the king to make sure the king reaches the ancestral land so that he goes to continue his rulership. All right. So if you are a king and you are here, and excuse my language, you are fooling. You should know who you are. You are not just a leader among humans. You are also a spiritual leader somewhere in the ancestral land. So when you die, you go to continue. But if you come here and you fool yourself up and you're not able to vibrate positivity to lead your people to victory and grace, you will die and you will lose your throne. There are many of you who are not doing your traditions anymore, who are not doing your sacred rituals anymore because you think you've seen Christ. You are now Christians. Woe betide you! I'm warning you. Be warned. Be warned. If you are a king, you are a chief in Africa, and you are not doing what you're supposed to do, be warned. The ancestors are warning you. The gods are warning you. Be warned. So when a king dies or a chief dies, these Akrafo are supposed to be around the soul to make sure the king lands in the ancestral land where he continues his ruling. Let me give you a gist and you understand what I'm saying. Why do you think that kings are numbered? For example, among Akans, we have Prempe the first, we have Osetitu the first, we have Osetitu the second. The current Asante Hine, Osetitu is not his actual name. He has his real name. But the moment he became a king, they threw away the name that he was given at birth and now he's taking upon himself Nana Osei-Tutu. What's the history, or what is the implication of this? It means that it is the Asante Osei-Tutu who came during the 17th century to unite the Asantes under a kingdom, who has come again to rule again. That's why when they checked spiritually and they blindfolded the king and led him into the ancestral throne room, the throne that he picked is that of the Asante Osei-Tutu. Therefore, he is given a name, Nana Osei-Tutu II, because he went and he has come back again to rule. Okoba Eliyahu, the gods are at war. Yes, the gods are at war. That's true. That's true. Nana Afia Biriba Kofi Kwansama, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you too. Right. So that's why the kings have their titles numbered. The kings have their titles numbered. If you go to Brun Ahafo, where my mom is from, the name of the king is Nana Yao Ajay. Nana Okofo Yao Ajay the first. Nana Okofo Yao Ajay the first. It means that when this king dies, there will be a throne left in his name. So long as he goes to the ancestral land and reincarnates to rule again, then he'll be given the name Nana Okofo Yao, or Okofo Nana Yao Ajay the second. Right? So I'm talking to you about Accra for those who live and die for the king. Now, how are these Accra forgotten? Some are slaves gotten from kingdom wars. Kingdom wars, because in the olden days, kingdoms were at war with each other. For example, the Asantes were at war with the Dinka people, and the Asantes were serving the Dinka kingdom. So when a kingdom comes to war with another kingdom, and one kingdom overpowers the other, the subjects of the overpowered kingdom become slaves to the victor. That's part of the war spoils. So when they kill some, they leave some and keep them for slavery. Some of these slaves work on farms. Some work in the palace. Some are dedicated to the king to serve as Accra for, right? Yet our ancestors understood the spiritual meaning of human life. Therefore, they respected even slaves. Some slaves could live to become chiefs. Yes. Some slaves could live to become chiefs. Check the records and you understand what I'm saying. So, when I'm talking about slavery in Africa, it is not the same slavery that the Europeans came to partake in during the transatlantic slave trade and the trans-Saharan slave trade. No, it's not the same. Theirs were wicked slavery. Theirs were against humanity. But the kind of slavery that was going on African land was slavery where the slave could even own properties, could even grow to become a chief. You have to do your own research too to find out. You could get yourself some examples of slaves who rose to become kings. All right. So the Accra sacrificed their life so that the kingdom could continue, so that a king could land safely in the ancestral land and have the chance to reincarnate later to come back and rule again. Because so long as the spiritual kingdom is at wreck, the physical kingdom will also be wrecked. Because when the spiritual kingdom is subdued, the subjects in the physical kingdom will also be subdued. Because the gods in the spiritual kingdom must always, and the ancestors in the spiritual kingdom must always unite to be able to fight for the gods living in the physical kingdom. Us. So that's a section of human sacrifice. Right? That's why among Akans, when a king dies, they drum around the town. And you hear rumors ongoing that we are going to bury the king has died. So people should not go outside. People should live indoors, because people will be thinking that when you go out, you'll be kidnapped and killed, so that your soul could escort the king to the underworld or the ancestral land. When we were young, this story used to go on. It is now that the energies are making me understand what it is. Right? So we have special people who are groomed for this purpose. Right? We have special people who are groomed for this purpose, and it is not by force. When you are picked, they do divination on you to prove that yes, you are destined for this. And if the divination approves it, then it's bestowed on you. They stay to take care of you. They stay to take care of your children if you are meant to have children. Your family. They stay to make sure you lack nothing. But the moment the king falls, your life ends. That's the Accra for souls of the king. Now, aside this, we have several people who sacrifice themselves for the kingdom. And we are going to talk about Asantes in history. T for marketing. Yes, brother, this is same as in the Bible when the Israelites go to war against other tribes and enslave them. Yes, when the Israelites go to war with other tribes and they win, they enslave them. It was normal in history. It was normal in history. All right? Okay, now let me take you into the Asante history. This one, I'm not supposed to say it with my mouth. We are going to learn about the history among these three kings. Nana Asanso Kufuor of Ejoso. Nana Asanso Kufuor, chief of Ejoso. Nana Dikopem, chief of Ajumakase. And Nana Tinubu Akodua, paramount chief of Kumau. There is a history among these three kings or three chiefs that we need to learn. And today we are going to learn about it. Now, I'll put the history on the screen for you to read with me together. Okay, so the Asante Nation. The title is Abakosembre, History Time. United Asante States under Otumfuo Osei Tutu. That's 1697 to 1718. All right, there is the part 3 of that history, but I am not interested in the part 1 and 2. I only want to read with you the part 3. So, Asantes have declared war on Dentra by filling their brass basin with stones and killing their chief warrior who accompanied the Dentra messengers to Asante. Now, let me give you a brief history before we read this. Okay, so the Asantes used to be under the rulership of Dentra people. And the Asantes decided to end the reign of terror that the Dentra people exhibited. Every year, the Asantes were meant to send basins full of gold to Dentra. So one year, the Dentra people brought their basin again to be filled with gold. And the messengers were escorted by warriors. The Asantes united against these messengers. They killed the warrior who escorted them. And they filled the basins with stones and commanded the messengers to send the stones back to their king. Nana Intim Jakari, he was the king of the Dentra people, and gave them a message that they should tell the Dentra people that Asantes are no more going to serve them. This was a declaration of war, and the Asantes were ready for it. And this was what happened. Now, let's read. All right, so Asante have declared war on Dentra by filling their brass basin with stones and killing their chief warrior who accompanied the Dentra messengers to Asante. They contacted Okomfanoche after. Okomfanoche, when consulted, assured them that they would be victorious, provided some men would give themselves up for sacrifice. So Anoche is telling them that they'll be victorious if some of them will give themselves up for sacrifice. Let's continue. 3 men will be needed for the sacrifice. One would be buried alive. His hands would appear at the surface of the earth. and 2 brass pans full of war medicine mixed in water would be put in 2 palms for the warriors to bath before they left for the war front. So when, let me put this up. So when they bury this chief, he will hang his hand up like this, so that they put basin in the hand and fill the basin with herbs. That's supposed to be war medicine herbs. So when the warriors are going, they will come to this man buried alive, carrying stuff in the hand like this, hanging upon the earth, right? And they will bath in the basin, the water in the basin, and this will ensure victory. That's not all. Let's continue. The second volunteer would be butchered to death and the flesh thrown away for vultures to take for the intraland. Wherever any piece of the flesh would fall to the intra, the man or the men of the place would lose their bravery and become cowards. So the second chief that will be butchered alive, they will cut their flesh into pieces. I mentioned this during my previous life. They will cut the flesh of that man in pieces, and they will throw it down for vultures to come and feed on the flesh. These vultures will be commanded to send the flesh, the piece of the meat, to the land of the Charipo. And anytime that the vultures drop the meat, the men on that land will lose their bravery, and they will be like women who cannot really go to war and fight, because the Asantes needed to overshadow the dangerous so that they would win the war. Let's continue. The third volunteer would be a paramount chief. He would be armed, and he would be in front of the marching soldiers, leading the army. He was not to fire a shot, even if he met an enemy. He should look on for the enemy to shoot him. So this third person is supposed to be a paramount chief, like the Gamanche. Or no, the Gamanche is not a paramount chief. The Gamanche is a king. So a paramount chief like the chief of my hometown, Okofo Borana Yao Ajay the first. Right? A paramount chief is a chief who is big enough to have sub-chiefs. Right? But well, let me not even say chiefs. Let's say king. But the Gamanche is too big for such a role or for such a title, right? So this third person will lead the war. Even though he is holding a gun, he's not supposed to shoot. He should, when he meets an enemy, he should look on for the enemy to shoot him and kill him. What is more painful than this? What is more painful than this? That you know that you are at war, you are holding a gun, yet you are not supposed to shoot. What's more painful than being buried alive with your hand on top of the earth, holding a basin for military men to bath in it, and you are told before it is done to you? What is so painful than you being butchered alive? They don't kill before they butcher you. You are alive and they butcher you so that your meat could be thrown, scattered around in the enemy land, and you are told this before it happens to you. Jesus didn't really do any serious sacrifice. If you compare these things I'm telling you today, you should honor your ancestors the more. Let's go and read the story, and then you understand what we are talking about. Your ancestors really suffered. So on the second paragraph, on this particular note, it was only when he fell that the Asante nation will be victorious. So this one leading the war is not supposed to shoot. Only when, the moment the person, this leader falls, the Asante nation will be victorious. If he did not conform to that and he shoots a gun, or he shot a gun, that will be the doom for Asante nation. Let's continue reading. You will know that your ancestors deserve much more than you are doing for them. Those who volunteered were the first, Nana Asenso Kofo, chief of Ajumakase. He was buried alive. So this was the one who offered himself to be buried alive with his hand hanging up to carry a basin that the warriors will bath with herbs. Number 2, Nana Dikopim the first, chief of Ejeso. You know Ejeso, the iconic place where Nana Asante, the woman who led war, the Sagarenti War, Saganatwasley War in 1900. This person used to be king in that state. So Nana Dikopim the first, chief of Ejeso, he gave himself up to be butchered to death. Nana Debu Akodia, paramount chief. Alright, so the third is Nana Debu Akodia, the paramount chief of Kumawu. He also gave himself up, though he was armed, he was forbidden to shoot. Let me take some water. So these are the 3 men who gave themselves up. Now the history is becoming interesting, right? Let's continue. So this man was not supposed to shoot, or else the Asante would lose their most greatest war of history. Therefore, he was killed. This bravery earned the paramount chiefs of Kumawu the title Barima. So Barima means man or masculinity. So the particular paramount chief, his people, Kumawu people, were given this title, Barima. So if you are a chief in Kumawu, that's your title, Barima, man enough. After all the purification and the necessary preparations, Otumfo Oseyitu prepared to lead the nation as a war general. So the paramount chief led the nation the king led the nation as a war general. So we Africans, in the olden days, when we are going to war, our kings will not sit in the palace and watch us go to war, because we have an adage that we say, if the king or the royal does not fight, the ordinary men will run away. All right. So let's continue. Okonfanoche asked Nana Oseyitu to stay at home and ask another chief to lead. So even though Oseyitu was prepared to go as war general, the spiritual leader of the war, the Okonfanoche, and the priest asked him to stay at home and ask another king or another chief to lead the war. His explanation was that though Asante nation would win the war, but whoever led as the war general would not live beyond 7 days after the war. So even this one, the fourth sacrifice, you know that when you go to the war and even you are victorious because you were a leader, you will not live after 7 days. Means that you will die within 7 days. Yet this man also led the war. So 4 people sacrificing their lives. What about the soldiers? Let's continue. Mpanyimfoɔ se suturo mmienu ma ani hane. This one means that 2 slaps, all right, leads to eye dilation. 2 slaps lead to eye dilation. Asante was not ready to lose Nana Oseyitu too, because they had already lost their king Prempeh, because the British carried Prempeh away. So this one, they are not willing to lose this king. Now let's continue. Please, is there a sound now? Is there a sound now? Okay, I think there is a sound now. Thank you. So let me go back. Let me go back to the first. Nana Asante Kufuor requested that after his death, nobody from his town, Ajumakase, should ever be killed for sacrifice in any form, nor any war to come again. His request was granted. So this king or this chief was saying that after he has sacrificed himself, he was the one to be buried alive, so that soldiers will bath in a basin being held by his hand. Green soap, thank you. So this king said that after he has been sacrificed, right, and there is a future war, nobody from his kingdom, thus the Ajumakase kingdom, should ever be used for sacrifice in Asante land again, because he has paid the price for his people. But today, the people from this kingdom, Ajumakase, are saying that they do not know their ancestor, Nana Asante Kufuor, but they know Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ sacrificed his life for them. Shame on you, Ajumakase people. Shame on you. Someone came to die and made a decree, and the decree was granted that none of you should be used for sacrifice ever again in a future war. But today, that sacrifice means nothing to you at all. Shame on you, black people. You claim you have seen Christ, right? These are some of the great deeds of your ancestors. Honor this. These men deserve more grace and more honor from you than the one that you do not know, the one that never knows you, yet you honor that person in your churches. Worship these men rather than the one you worship in your churches, because they lay down their life for you. Let's go to another copy, the second paragraph on this note. The chief of Ejeso also requested that nobody from his clan, Asona clan, should be sacrificed in any form. Asante Hene granted this. So the Asante king also granted this, that after Nana Kopim, the king of Ejeso is used for sacrifice, nobody from his clan, the Asona clan, will also be used for sacrifice ever again in the future. So today, if there is nobody in Asante kingdom and we need a human being for sacrifice, and the only living human beings are from Asona, the sacrifice will not come on, because it has been decreed by the ancestors. The third, Nana Chunibo Kodua, who also requested that nobody from his state should ever be sacrificed in any form. Also, whenever a drummer from any Asante state started drumming on a tumpan drum, his appellation should be sounded to remind future generations that they too should sacrifice for Asante nation. So listen to this. This man is telling you that he is going to offer himself to be butchered alive, for his flesh to be thrown around, scattered around. Yet, in the future, when the drummer is drumming in the Asante states, right, and they drum on the Atumpan drums, they should sound this king, his appellation, to signal the future generation that these kings have sacrificed themselves for the life of the Asante nation. Therefore, the future generation must also sacrifice themselves to continue the nation. Today, are we ever willing to offer ourselves as sacrifice so that our land will be secure? In case the Europeans come with their mighty soldiers, with their mighty weapons, that they are coming to war at war with us, are we willing to avail ourselves to defend our land? I'm asking the young people of Africa. I'm asking the young people of the Asante nation. Are you willing to defend your land today? If they need be, are you willing to defend your land? Because your ancestors offered themselves, their lives for you. But today you claim that you know someone else who offered his life for you. Therefore, your ancestors are devils, they are demonic, then they must be put to shame. Shame on you. And you are suffering, and you want to blame who? Do you understand the cause of your suffering now? Go and read Deuteronomy chapter 28. and see the curses in the Bible over there. I'll come and read it with you. And then you will understand the curse that your ancestors left in place. That in case you want to go astray from the ancestral norms, all these curses must follow you. That anything that you touch with your hand should be bad luck. That's what your ancestors laid down. The curses that they laid down before they left. And today you are suffering from it and you want to complain. Shut up and suffer. Now let's continue. All right, so I think that's all for the notes. All right, so many people did not know this history. So I want you to understand that in Akan Kingdom, not only Akans, other Africans also have this, but I've always said it. I only know about Akans and Evers. Even among Evers, I don't know much. Right? So when I talk about my own, sit in your country, in your kingdom, and also do your own research. And try to let mine guide you so that you could find the trace of my history in your own kingdom. Then you know that we are one people as Africans. And we are supposed to march forward with one mission and vision of securing ourselves, protecting our land, and elevating ourselves for the future. And it starts with spirituality. It starts with consciousness. It starts with the right mindset. It starts with you loving yourself. And you cannot love yourself when you don't love your land, because you come from this land. So our ancestors laid down their life for us, and we are supposed to also lay down our life for our future generations. Yet, if anybody gets the chance to lead the country, all they think about is their pocket. They want to loot for the personal good of their own family. What about the general good of the people? Because we are thinking, we've been made to believe that the life ends here. My brother, my sister, life does not end here. I talk to spirit on a daily basis, and I understand what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. So talk to anybody who is spiritually inclined, and they'll give you a confirmation that life does not end here. And humans do not die. Even though matter dies, body dies, humans do not die. Therefore, whatever you do today, think about the future. The future also includes the life on the ancestral land, where we will continue life after here. All right. So, as a young adult, I want you to understand that your ancestors laid their life down for you. Therefore, you should also be willing to honor them. You should be willing to give them glory for it. You should be willing to feed them. You should be willing to pour libation to their souls so that life will be okay for them wherever they are. The disrespect is becoming too much. If you gave your ancestors the kind of regard you've been giving to Jesus Christ today, you would be the greatest of all nations. But the moment we went astray, we signed the contract of our death, that we are going to be forever remain slaves. Until black people wake up, until we start doing the needful for our ancestors, until we start pouring libations, until we start feeding our ancestral souls, until we start regarding our own and respecting that of others, even though we are not supposed to have anything to do with it. It's for them. We only have to respect it. We will continue to be slaves. Because yes, we are. All right. So I think I've gone beyond the 30th minute, and I would want to end my life here. All right. Continue subscribing to this channel, and I bet you there's so much more to come. Right. I have so many topics that I've written down that I haven't taught yet. So many topics that I've written that I haven't taught yet. Okay, so next time I come live, expect something bigger too, right? But if you haven't shared this video yet, please kindly share and let people know that Africans are not supposed to be where we are today. We are supposed to be much more than what we are now. Thank you for watching me. Bye bye.